1300 WIMG and WZBN Channel 25 are dedicated to serving the many communities within our area. One thing that is very apparent is the increase of violence in the country and this area as well. WIMG and WZBN are dedicated to do their part constructively to put a halt to the escalation of crime. And now, the moderator for this evening's program.
Good evening and welcome to Violence Serves No Purpose. I am your host, Jacque Howard, and you are listening to us over WIMG, Radio 1300 on the AM dial, and worldwide on the internet at WIMG1300.com. And if you are watching us on television, it is on Mercer County Channel 25, WZBN. Before we get into it tonight, our guest is Reverend Sam Atchison. Reverend Sam is the president of TEAM-Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries, but I don't want to pigeonhole Reverend Sam with that. He has his hands deeply rooted and his feet as well in the city of Trenton and also regionally in Philadelphia. So without any further ado, Reverend Sam, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jacque. Thank you for being here.
Excellent. So at this point, sir, I'd like for you to actually give us a little bit of information about your history briefly, because I know there's a lot of information you want to share about TEAM and about what's going on here in the city of Trenton. But besides that, can you tell me a little bit about your background and also about your family?
Well, let me start with the best part first. My family, I've got my wife, Fran, is my best friend, and she has kindly consented to stay with me. After 26 years of marriage, we've been married. We just celebrated in October our 26th wedding anniversary. We have 4 children, a daughter who is about to turn 22 just this Friday.
Amen.
A daughter that's about to turn 20.
And
twin 8-year-old boys, yes. Everybody knows me about for my sons.
Yes, I had the opportunity to spend some time with Sam's sons this weekend as he preached at Westminster Presbyterian Church for the MLK Day, Martin Luther King Day. Sam has preached there on more than one occasion.
Yes.
But I had the time to spend some with his twin boys and his lovely wife, Fran, who quietly sits in the back and looks as lovely as possible,
yes,
but is just standing by her man. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. So can you tell me a little bit about your history, about where you're from, and your ties in Philadelphia?
Well, I was born in Philadelphia, actually, reared in South Jersey, came to Trenton. I had worked in Trenton for a number of years, but actually it was the Lord used my wife to bring me to Trenton to stay.
And isn't it amazing how the Lord does that
with
our wives?
It is amazing. Actually, at the time that I was working, at the time that I met my wife, I was actually working in Trenton, but living in South Jersey and going to seminary in Philadelphia at the Lutheran Theological Seminary. Mm-hmm. I worked here for a number of years in various capacities in a number of venues, and then a couple of years ago began working for the Philadelphia Leadership Foundation for the Reverend Dr. W. Wilson Good, the former mayor, implementing the AMACHI program through the Philadelphia Leadership Foundation. The AMACHI program, of course, is known worldwide for providing mentoring to children that are impacted by incarceration. I left there in November and had November of last year, and had been working as president of TEAM for now it's actually 5 years. And so for the previous, up until that point, I had been working, trying to keep things going with TEAM, and basically we were trying to evolve. Our mission was evolving.
Okay.
And finally, in coming back to the city, basically full time, not having to make that trip up and down 95, I've been able to put some things together to sort of tell our story.
Okay. Now, you say that, tell your story about TEAM in an elevator amount of time, an elevator's ride. Can you tell us what TEAM stands for and something about the programming?
Well, TEAM, again, is the Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministry. And we function as a faith-based intermediary agency, providing, actually facilitating the process by which small churches and nonprofits go about their outreach. We raise funds for various means. We help raise funds, for example, through the Crop Walk annually. We raise funds through our summer youth program.
Mm-hmm.
We raise money for churches that provide the youth with summer activities, vacation Bible schools, summer day camps, and things of that nature.
Okay, so if someone wanted more information about TEAM, what's the contact telephone number, and how can they find out a little bit more about the program?
Well, TEAM is, our phone number is area code 609-394-9229. And, of course, we're known famously for my boss, Mrs. Tina Swan.
Amen.
I always refer to her as my boss. She's actually a secretary and an administrator, chief cook and bottle washer, cracks the whip. And she is the one, she actually has been with the organization now, I believe it's 23 years. So executive directors have come and gone, presidents of the organization have come and gone, but Tina Swan has stayed forever, basically. And so she's the one who could sort of really talk to you about the nuts and bolts of each individual program.
Okay, excellent. Now, for the technos in our audience, can you tell us a little bit about, do you have a website, Facebook page, do you tweet, blog, or any of those things?
Well, I'm 54 years old, and so I'm not quite as up on the technology as my daughters are, but we do have our website is currently under construction.
Okay.
So we are in the process of reworking our website. We've had one for a number of years, but we're in the process of reworking that. We do have a Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook at Trenton Ecumenical Ministry.
Or is it Trenton Ecumenical Ministries, or is it Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministry?
I'm sorry, Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministry.
Good. So, folks, keep in mind the acronym TEAM, T-E-A-M, and you don't want to friend them based upon TEAM, but you want to look for Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries. And that telephone number is 609-394-9229. And hopefully in the future, I'm always trying to get the people who are older than me, who are shy about technology, to get them into tweeting and blogging and Facebooking and website design and administration. Maybe we can get the Reverend Sam up on that as well. If I don't, then at least maybe your children will.
Well, I do. I don't have a technical blog, but I do have a column online through Patheos.com. In which the column basically serves as a means whereby I can sort of air out the things that inform what TEAM does. That's on Patheos.com.
Okay, and that's Pathios.com.
No, Patheos.com, and my column is called In the Matter of Color. No, I'm sorry. I wanted it to be In the Matter of Color. They changed it on me.
Okay.
But just look up my name, and I'm there at Patheos.com.
Okay, and for the folks who, Reverend Sam's last name is spelled a little bit differently. It's A-T-C-H-I-N.
No.
S-O-N.
A-T-C-H-I-S-O-N.
Okay.
That's why people call me Reverend Sam.
So Reverend Sam, one more time for the audience, the spelling of your last name so they can look for you on Patheos.com.
A-T-C-H-I-S-O-N.
Amen. Before we come up on a break, let's look at what does TEAM see as an issue that needs to be addressed here in Mercer County?
Wow, there are a number of concerns that we have. Obviously, we're concerned about issues related to the violence that we're seeing in our city. What has been interesting has been the ebb and flow of the violence over the last several years. quite frankly, in recent years, it's been flowing, and in recent weeks, it's been flowing in a way that is very disturbing. There's been an uptick, as we all know, in the violent crime rate. And so one of the things that the team has been involved in over the years, we were involved with the Trenton Peace Movement, which was actually started by Reverend Julio Guzman and Early Harrell, who's known on the streets as the Almighty Blood Messiah, back in 2007 when things really began to kick off. And we were involved with them then, along with Westminster and a number of other churches. More recently, we have there are a couple of initiatives that we have developed one is called Empowering Youth Options, known as EYO. We began that in cooperation and in partnership with Living Hope Church, again, Reverend Guzman's church, as well as Westminster and the Safe Schools program of Trenton Public Schools. And that focuses on providing actually, it was developed in the wake of cutbacks in summer youth employment programs back in 2009. And so we began to brainstorm because we really wanted to come up with something that was going to have, that wasn't just going to be another series of workshops. And so what we did was we focused on youth entrepreneurship and worked together with Kevin Wortham, who is co-founder of Minding Our Business, and began looking at the whole issue of youth entrepreneurship and using that as sort of a hook to keep kids interested in school. And we've operated essentially event to event. And so our vision is to expand that, expand the workshops, expand the program so that it's a year-round program anchored by faith-based institutions and churches just like yourselves.
Okay.
Like yours.
Okay, so you've mentioned a couple of different programs there. Empowering Youth Options. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, again, that's EY. That's the EYO program. That's the youth program. The other piece is Healing Communities. That's the other piece. And Healing Communities is a program that focuses on training congregations to better empower and to better serve the members who are impacted by crime, incarceration, and prisoner reentry. With all that's been going on, not just recently, but actually over the last several years, Trenton has had one of the highest crime rates in the not only in the state but in the country. And so, one of the concerns that we've had has been, okay, how does the church be the church? What happens when, for example, a person is a victim of a crime and he's a member of and he or she is a member of your church? What happens if the person who is a family member of the person who perpetrated the crime is a member of your church? What happens when they're both members of your church, both the victim and the perpetrator, the families thereof? What happens there? And so what we do is we seek to train congregations in how better to serve in those situations, how to facilitate healing in order, again, that the church might more effectively be the church. Because we want the violence to stop. Because, again, violence serves no purpose.
Absolutely. So we're just about up on a break, a little more than a minute left, 60 seconds or so more. We're going to get into discussing some more with Reverend Sam Atchison about some of the programs. But briefly, do you see those two programs that you have listed, Empowering Youth Options and Healing Communities, as two different entities?
I see them as programmatically, they're two different entities, but they are part of the same. They're part of the same vision. Essentially, Healing Communities has been used nationally to sensitize congregations, make them aware of situations associated with crime, incarceration, at-risk youth, all of that, and from that sensitization. There has been a focus on what has come out of that has been an increase in the volunteer pool to better serve the youth and better serve the incarcerated. And so the idea is to bring the two together.
Okay. So at that point, we're just about up on a break, and you are listening to WIMG 1300 and watching WZBN Channel 25 in Mercer County. I am your host, Jacque Howard, and we are with the Reverend Sam Atchison from TEAM-Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries. We'll be right back.
Walk blindly to the light and reach out for his hand. Don't ask any questions and don't try to understand. Open up your mind and then open up your heart.
Are your cable rates rising? Tired of being pushed around by your provider? It's time to push back. Cut the cable and get Dish Network installed with absolutely no equipment to buy. Here's the best part. Packages start at just $24.99 a month for an entire year. That's right. Call now and get Dish Network installed free. Plus your choice of HBO, Cinemax, or Stars free for 3 months. If you call in right now, Dish Network will also throw in free HD for life. PMG Dish, a Dish Network authorized retailer, is waiting for your call and can have you watching TV as soon as tomorrow. Call 800-860-0436. Imagine all your favorite movies, sports, and shows in crystal clear digital quality for far less money, and you won't have to deal with the cable company anymore. At only $24.99 per month, they're practically giving it away. Call now for full details. Call 800-860-0436. That's 800-860-0436. Again, 800-860-0436. Limited time offer for prices, packages, and programming subject to change without notice. 24-month agreement required. Cancellation fees, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
Walk blindly to the light and reach out for his hand.
Welcome back to Violence Serves No Purpose. I'm your host, Jacque Howard, and we are speaking with Reverend Sam Atchison from TEAM-Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries. It is a mouthful for some of us.
Yes, it is.
And we've been talking about some of the actual programs
Yes.
that TEAM has implemented, and a brief history about you and about your family.
Right.
So as we move into the second portion of the program, can you tell us a little bit more about, let's say, how the current economy that we're all in as far as finances goes for your organization?
That's an interesting question. All of us are affected by the economy.
Mm-hmm.
What I've found has been that as I'm going out, obviously, again, I run a nonprofit,
mm-hmm.
and as I shared in church on Sunday, nonprofit isn't supposed to mean that you don't make a profit. Although we've managed to do
all the nonprofits out there. Just because you're a nonprofit does not mean no profit.
Exactly, exactly. But as you go around, and of course you make your appeals to your traditional supporters as well as trying to expand your support base, you find that people and organizations are, even those that have supported you in the past, you're finding that they're having to make very, very hard choices. Mm-hmm. The reality is that the economy is affecting those in the cities as well as the suburbs. You've got unemployment in the public sector as well as the private sector. You've got housing foreclosures mm-hmm. in the suburbs being countered by rental evictions in the city. And so you're dealing with people who are hurting all the way around. One of the things that one of the conclusions I've come to has been that there's a need for urban and suburban pastors to really come together and to really talk about these issues. One of the things that we're looking to do is to put together a series of workshops that are designed to begin to air these issues out. The idea, of course, is not to solve everything, because I don't have the power to solve anything, but I think I do have the ability, because of my background as a researcher, as my background as a policy analyst. I've got a background, in addition to being a pastor, a scholar, a journalist, and know people who are researchers and really have their finger on the cutting edge of these issues. I think that what I can do is facilitate the conversation.
Okay. Now, going back to your supporters, are you at leisure to share with some of your funders? Are you listed those individuals or groups or anything?
Well, let me just say that in general, our membership is made up of individuals as well as congregations. And what we have found, again, in recent years is that congregational support has lessened for a number of reasons, and particularly the economy. We've also enjoyed in the past some corporate support, specifically earmarked for certain programs, for example, our youth program. But what has happened is, for example, we've been supported by a number of banks in the past. But what has happened is that a number of the banks, of course, have been swallowed up. Okay, and so we no longer have the ability just to pick up the phone, call the local manager, the local branch manager, and say it's that time of year again, because what has happened has been with the restructuring associated with the corporate takeovers, the giving of these corporations has been streamlined and centralized, and so you're no longer talking to somebody that you know.
So there's a lack of relationships, which
Exactly.
directly attributes to funding. I'd heard a long time ago that most of a nonprofit's funding comes from the small donations, not necessarily from the big ticket items that get the headlines. A shout out to my family. I was always taught from a young age that quick nickels
Exactly.
are better than slow dollars.
Exactly.
So that's something
Exactly.
for the supporters out there and the people who want to get involved. Don't consider yourself minuscule or not that important. Give what you can, and it all adds up, almost like the loaves and fishes, correct?
Exactly. Ask President Obama.
Yes.
It was that kind of outreach to small donors that actually gave him the funding base to get to the White House, to propel him to the White House. And so, yeah, every little bit helps.
Well, moving on, thinking about the partnerships that you have, because you've hinted around about a couple of different things, and partnerships is something that Westminster Presbyterian Church, where I'm an elder, where we realize that don't look at the dollar figure, don't look at the size of the congregation. See who you can partner with, and if you're doing it in ministry, see who you can partner with in ministry to work together, because there's plenty of hands out there.
Exactly.
So some of the partnerships that you have and some of the partnerships that you're working on in the near future, can you discuss a little bit about that?
Well, yes. For example, we have, as you probably well know, we have worked with Pastor Karen. I've happened to know Pastor Karen Hernandez Granson since actually before the Granson was added to her name.
Sorry, Dr. Michael Granson.
Well, I've known her for some time, and her heart has always been toward partnerships. So we've worked very, very closely over the years, certainly in empowering youth options with Westminster. We've worked again with and continue to work with Living Hope Church, both in empowering youth options and in the healing communities. They are one of our funded partners through our Healing Communities grant that we got from the Annie E. Casey Foundation through the Philadelphia Leadership Foundation.
National recognition,
Right.
So Annie E. Casey Foundation.
Exactly. We also are partnering with Reverend Toby Sanders' church, Beloved Community, Samaritan Baptist Church. Certainly when we're doing anything with healing communities, there was no way in the world, anytime you're dealing with prison, you've got to deal with Bishop Ravenel. Bishop Joseph Ravenel, of course, is the senior eminence of prison chaplains. And during my years at Trenton State Prison, he mentored me, supported me, threw his arm around me, and that just wouldn't be right. Not to have him involved, particularly, again, just given his more than 30 years of experience in that area. And his congregation has always lived out what it is that we try to teach through the Healing Community Program. And so those are some of the partnerships that we have. And of course, we are looking to expand our reach. We're working now with UMIO. They are, of course, in their very nascent days, developed the Revived Justice Program that happened back in 2010. They're looking to have Revive 2 and focus around those issues. And one of the things that in discussing with Reverend Jeffrey Vemos at
Lawrenceville
Presbyterian Church, who of course has been helping to spearhead the whole initiative. One of the things that we've talked about has been that we see healing communities as being the next logical step, a very practical step beyond just raising concerns about criminal justice issues. What can we as congregations do about it? What can we as Christians do about it? Okay, and so healing communities fits right into that mode, and so we've been asked to help spearhead that conversation around Revive 2.
Okay, so to go back to the partnerships, again, I just want to make it important to stress that consider what the movement is, consider what the objective is, and have that be your focus, and don't feel as though it has to be done just by one organization or two different organizations.
Exactly.
This can be something, or not can be, it is something bigger than each individual. It's bigger than each church. There's a spirit that's moving through this city and through this area, and what we need to do, including myself, is get as close as possible to it and see how we can utilize our tools and our partnerships so that we can be closer to God and have God's will be done. And before we're getting ready to come up on the end of the program, but we've got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to share Reverend Sam's contact information through TEAM, and then we're going to give Reverend Sam a few more moments to share some other pressing issues, and then we'll close out again with more as far as his contact information. So TEAM, Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries, telephone number 609-394-9229. You can also friend them on Facebook, and that's Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries. And Reverend Sam has a column that is on patheos.com, PATHEOS.com.
Yes.
And it's Sam Atchison.
Atchison.
Atchison. I'll get it right.
I'll get it right. That's all right.
So in the next 60 to 90 seconds or so, is there anything, pressing issues that you want to bring up about TEAM, about how you feel about Trenton, et cetera?
Well, let me just say that I think that, and I was remiss in just discussing some of the partnerships that we are in the process of developing. And I think it becomes very important to raise people's consciousness about some things that are happening. For example, we're working with Turning Point United Methodist Church that is pastored by Bishop Felton May. Bishop May has a long history, known worldwide, about social ministry issues, biblically based social ministry issues. So often we feel that it's one or the other. No, it's both and. And so he's known worldwide for that. And so we're working very closely with him on that. There's also an organization that actually started in Camden called Urban Promise that has now recently, within the past year to year and a half, has come to the city. It is run by a young man, locally by a young man named Carl Clark, who actually started out originally on the streets of Camden, working, being one of the kids that had been grafted in, and now he has grown up, become a man, and having become a man, put away childish things, but yet is going back and putting into the community. And so it's those kinds of people and organizations that we're looking to work with. Excellent.
So again, you've been listening to Violence Serves No Purpose. I've been your host, Jacque Howard, and our guest tonight was the Reverend Sam Atchison.
Yes.
From TEAM, Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries. Again, 609-394-9229. And you can like them on Facebook, Trenton Ecumenical Area Ministries. You've been listening to WIMG 1300 AM, and you've also been watching us on WZBN Channel 25 in Mercer County. Thank you and have a good night.
Reach out for his hand. Don't ask any questions and don't try to